Okay, hello everyone. Really nice to be here. Welcome to another expert session. And well, at first, I'm Gustavo. I'm your partner here at Evolve. And well, let's start the session today. So today, at first, I want to thank our sponsor, Airmeet, for making this possible using this powerful software to do these expert sessions and to bring this to you. And well, today here with us, we have Alexandra Tsingeni, also known as Alexis. She serves as a moderator, retail reporter, content creator, and live podcast host, bringing the world of commerce and its technologies. In her program, Retail Autons, she focuses equally on employees and customers. As a retail expert and recognized in the Think Retail Top 100 Retail Experts list for 2024, she brings diverse perspectives to discussions and innovation concepts, drawing from her experiences in both corporate and tech startup environments. So, hello, Alexandra, and very nice to have you here with us.
Hi, Gustavo. Happy to be here. Glad to be on the Export Talk. Looking forward to everybody's questions, either in German or in English, as since you speak German as well. This will be
Yeah,
quite a twist.
just a
No,
little
we,
bit.
we keep we keep it English. We keep it English for this format
Yeah,
so that
yeah,
everybody can
it's
understand.
yeah.
Super happy to be here.
Great. Very, very nice to have you here. So, at first, we usually like to have to start by knowing a bit more about you. So,
Yeah.
you have a quite interesting career that went through and made you become a very good retail reporter, let's say. And well, so how's your career? So how, in which steps, in which industries have you passed? So how, what brought us here today? So,
Yes. So I'm 34 years old. That means that I can look back to a couple of years of working life. And when people back then told me, be happy, time in school is easy, everything later is difficult, well, they were right and they were wrong. Because today, as a retail reporter, I kind of made up my own job role. I'm a solopreneur. That means that I'm building systems. I'm building a business around my brand. But yeah, how did I end up inventing my own job? Um, to make it very short, it wasn't even my idea. And you know how life has twists and turns. So from the very,
mm,
very early stage at, well, I think I was 11, my dad, he took me to the flea market. So for probably 10 or 12 years, I was exposed to business, to selling. He is still selling euro coins, gold, silver, medals, stamps. Yes, there is still a market for that. No, not everybody collecting that stuff is dead yet. There are still new collectors coming. And I've been doing that for so long, so I could observe how my dad was interacting with people, how he was building connections. And let me tell you, being at the flea market is pain in the ass because it's either very hot or rainy or super cold, and you're there for hours. So it was a
mm,
very good school to start life with or working life with, just to be okay with sitting in an office for 8 hours when the other option would have been being 8 to 10 hours outside, standing in whatever weather conditions are. So I always knew, okay, I want to do somewhere where I want to work somewhere I have an office job, just as a
mm,
campus program. Um,
mm,
and because I was so fascinated about the psychology of sales, not sales in particular, but also people how people interact with
mm,
objects and offers and with each other, I was looking into psychology, biology, but I ended up studying retail. So back then, after school, I studied retail in the end at Rewe Group, which is one of the major European retailers. And I did like dual studies there, means I studied retail management and at the same time did an apprenticeship there. So I had my first 1.5 years of work in the pocket um, after I graduated. And I would love to say I loved retail back then, but the truth was, I was very bored because I did not. Rewe Group back then was a massive tank moving so slowly. And I felt like, okay, this is not the pace I want to move in. So I changed. I became a purchaser at Volkswagen, VW in Wolfsburg. So
Mhm,
switch sides, switch industries, learned how interesting it is to have power, because back then I was 22, right? I was managing
mhm,
over 90 million um, worth of budget throughout my yeah, worldwide
mhm,
suppliers, and I was buying front and rear latches.
mhm.
So the stuff that holds the front and the back of the trunk together, these were
Yeah.
my parts for all different VW and Porsche and Audi and like all the cars that belongs to the group. Um,
Mhm,
did a quite a big break afterwards. Traveled the world for more than 1.5 years. Lived in Vienna for a year. So I had the opportunity to see lots of places in the world, especially Southeast Asia and Europe, and I'm super grateful for that because this again influences so much of who I am today and how I see things, how I put things in perspective. Um,
mhm.
yeah, and after coming back from Vienna, where I became a escape room host. I don't know whether you've done an escape room before, but it's basically people introducing the game, the rules, sometimes playing within the room as well. Love that,
Yeah.
still love that. And I went back to retail. I became head of sales well, I became the eighth person working for that startup called Snapple. And then I
Mhm,
developed to be head of sales, head of business development, being back in retail, talking to heaps of retailers. Then switching after 3 years there, switching to the, uh, the investor of Snapple, but
mhm,
have been doing a bit of SAP, uh, yeah, retail advisory there. So looked into a bit of a different angle into retail. And then at one point, I was confronted with, okay, they're closing down their retail department. What's the next
mhm,
step? So I had tons of applications. I mean, some of you may listening know this. You've built something, and then it's super difficult to find the right fit somewhere. And then I had a great company booking me for Euroshop,
mhm,
doing basically Alexa stuff, like me going around
mhm,
talking to people, doing content. And that guy, Hamid was his name, he called me, Alexis, your retail reporter. And this closed my monologue, as well as this was the moment where I was like, yeah, yeah, this is what I am. This is what I've been building since.
mhm.
So, hi, aloha, I'm Alexis, the retail reporter.
Great, great. Oh, it's quite a journey, quite a career, and yeah. So it's very interesting because, as you said, I believe at the end of you have connected your prior desire, let's say, to understand psychology and the process and how people interact with the sales process, how people react to the sales process, let's say, and you were able to the end collecting all of the experience you could achieve, you could collect, you could gather uh, to bring this to become a retail reporter and uh, being a retail reporter. So what what do you do? So what you're looking at when you're being a retail reporter? So, but okay, it's a bit broad, but what do you look at? So what catches your curiosity and what catches
Yes,
your attention?
yes. So I would say I do have four, four pillars. Yeah, counting is difficult. I have four different pillars of audiences or people I connect with. The one is retailers, obviously, mostly within DACH region, so German speaking. That's like my super niche. because at one
Mhm.
point I decided I will continue doing German content and not English content, because the German bubble prefers German content to interact with. And this is where my home market is. And at the moment, at
Mhm.
least my biggest, I think I have 95% German network at the moment. Um, the second thing is tech suppliers, which means POS tech as well as SaaS software, which makes technology approachable and available for retailers.
Mhm.
Then the third thing is press. That means press and events, you can say. That means that I can be hired as a moderator for a full show. I've been doing that the past 2 years, and I love that. Um, I've been also moderating panels just to give, you can imagine the whole program a tiny bit of spice, a bit of power. So I bring a full different energy to the stage, and doing that
Mhm.
through a panel definitely has been a highlight for a couple of people and for me as well. And then the fourth pillar is startups. I do love to connect to startups, not because their products are that great or that innovative, because I believe that their spirit and their drive is what we need to push retail forward, to challenge the speed within companies again and again.
Mhm.
Because we always have the question whether we want to make or buy, and startups are a great vehicle to test and try things which are beneficial for both parties. So these are the
Yeah.
four, I would say the four and a half different
Mhm.
pillars. And within that, I do so many different things. One of my goals for 2025 is to narrow that down a bit, to niche down even more. Because at the moment, I'm doing store checks, I'm consulting tech suppliers, I'm doing content. So I'm doing like Alexis Try Stuff. Um, you can take me to different events like the VTEX event in Barcelona, for example. So I create content there. I will do interviews there. You can book me as a retail expert. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, then I have retail O-tones as well. So retail O-tones, retail experts on the mic, a German format mostly. I have in this season me, myself, and AI is the main topic. So we will talk with retailers about artificial intelligence, but
Mhm.
very precisely.
Mhm.
You can see everything on my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, again,
it's amazing. Yeah,
so
it's
it's a
amazing.
broad portfolio, and I always love to connect people. So, for example, I'm in a couple of other networks as well, and there was a woman from an FMCG player who told me, "Hey, I need a retail speaker for my event," and I was like, "Ah, I probably know someone," and then I just connected them. So,
Mhm.
being a connector, having that network, sharing that network, so valuable for everybody. And like I don't charge everything. It's always
Mhm.
to give, to over deliver, and have a good time together. And in the end, business will take care of itself. That's my strong belief.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, we believe in sharing, in connecting people also. So that's basically what we do here at Evolve. So we are always looking for building the connections. So every time we know someone, every time someone comes into the community, we talk to people, and we try to understand it, to understand, okay, so with whom should we connect this person, so to the community, be valuable for everyone. And well, going a bit deeper into retail tones, which is a great podcast, and as you said, it's a bit more niched, and a bit more, you go a bit more deep into what companies are doing and how they are thinking their strategies. And so you're talking today. So me, myself, and an AI. So this is the season, let's say. I could say that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
So
what have you
I,
been seeing into this last season, or this season that you're
yes.
finalizing?
Yes. So just to explain the format a tiny bit more. So
Great.
Retail Autons is a live video podcast. Why is
Mhm.
it live? Not because it's so much nicer and easier to set up. Um, I want to have that. I want people involved. I want people to ask questions within the lives. So the speakers that I'm having usually are not C-level. They're
Mhm.
product owner, they're project managers, they're sales managers within the retail, within the retailer. So I want them to bring their experience from the projects on my stage, because I think we hear a lot of fancy C-level presentations, and then in the end we're like, yeah, that all sounds good, but what did not work? How did you overcome that problem? How did you structure your team to achieve that? What tech stack
Mhm.
are you working with? And these are all questions that can be asked and are being asked in the live sessions. So this
Great.
is why I'm doing that live. And if you miss the live, then you can always listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcast. So that's
Yes,
that's
yes.
that's the thing to the season. And why am I doing seasons? Um, every season has 8 to 10 live episodes. That's a lot to organize. That's a lot to structure, but it also gives my audience a very good cluster. If they're interested in that topic, they're most likely interested to the whole set of speakers. So it's
Mhm.
easier to get them back into the live sessions and listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
You've been
Yes,
asking,
it's a good
please,
way.
please.
No, no, it's a good way to build to split the content and to make it clear to whoever wants to see and deepen into one one subject. One, yes.
Um, okay, so the great thing about a video like this is that I can show something. So this was a first for me as well. Is
Mhm.
a Raumduft, so a room fragrance from
Mhm.
DM. And this is what they sent me prior the podcast episode to my address, which is super cute. Um, not because they want our podcast to smell nice, obviously, but there on the top there is a QR code, and if you scan that, the landing page is explaining how this product has been developed with the data of AI, through the power of AI. So human
Mhm.
and, let's say, past sales and past reviews went into developing this product. So this is what DM and I will be talking about today. So
Mhm.
I had one, two, I think I had four episodes of this podcast season so far. However, I had all the pre-chats with all the podcast guests already,
Mhm.
and I can tell you what I see in the big, massive topic of AI is everybody's just cooking with water. Some water is very hot and boils the pasta very well, and others are, let's say, they're sitting in front of a half boiling pot and waiting for the pasta to get al dente. But I can say they're not really using the proper pasta. Um, Neither the real heat, and the sauce is not on the side as well. And this will definitely not be working. So we're talking about what are the fundamentals that need to be done, not only
Mhm.
data wise, but also um, business wise. So, how do we need to structure teams? How do we need to foster innovation? Not as we've been doing innovation management in the companies before, because AI is so much faster, and the opportunities and the cases that need to be checked are so much faster as well, faster paced. So,
Mhm.
what I see in all the companies that I'm talking to, they're changing their whole organization. And this is totally stunning to me. That, again, coming from Rewe, who used to be
Mhm.
a very slow organization, and now maybe still is in some parts. They now have the Rewe Digital, for example, their
Mhm.
digital sub company, and they're killing it. They're showing so many AI use cases. They're speaking of so many events. They're doing proper employer branding. They're using their innovative power to attract new talent. This is super interesting. And if we look into different use cases, so product development is definitely one of the things. For example, I had the podcast episode with Chibo.
Mhm.
Hope you guys know Chibo. They're a company from northern Germany, and they do not only coffee, but they also do heaps of I've
Everything
got the
since
I've got yeah,
clothes and
they literally do
home things.
everything. Yes, yes, everything. Um, but they do new assortment, new products every single week. So they
Mhm.
have a huge demand of stuff to develop and to order and to
Yeah.
produce and to market.
Mhm.
So AI or AI agents help the different departments doing that. So this is the podcast episode where Oma and I really look deeper into these use cases. And then I had the week after I had Lavazza on my podcast. And I have to say that this was very interesting because Lavazza said, okay, Lavazza is a coffee as well. It's an Italian company. And
Mhm.
they are they obviously need to sell their different products to the retailer first. So the retailers are their customers and then the end consumers. This is what I call end
Yeah.
consumers.
Mhm.
So when they want the end consumer to buy something, they first need to be within the retail shelves. Makes sense. But how do they get their products there? They need to go to the Edekas, the Reves, or the headquarters and being like, this is our range of products. These are the prices. Here you go. This is how it's been in the past. Like, not in that matter, but it was a lot of experience and gut feeling. But
Mhm.
now they're training an AI agent to be this Einzelhändler, to be this supermarket owner with, let's say, 10 stores. So
Mhm.
they have this AI agent. Um, Moritz called him Markus, the Marktleiter, so the market owner.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
he said, okay, he has Marcus now. Marcus is maybe very grumpy because there is a lot going on and that there is the Christmas business happening. And then he asks, okay, how can I approach Marcus the best so that he gives me a bit of his time? And then the AI agent says, okay, these are my pain points at the moment. This would be very valuable for me in that case. So they can upload pitch decks and say, hey, what is your impression on this product? And then they
Mhm.
can get a simulated feedback before they actually go and speak to Marcus, the market head. And
It's
this saves
amazing.
so much time and trains people. And this was
Yeah.
very mind blowing for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
another
Because no, I was just it's amazing because what we're seeing, at least most of companies are talking about, is how they use AI to outside, and they're using AI to build these personas. The salespeople are relating, are need to sell and need to be in contact every day, and they're using this to train their own people. So they're using this, getting, well, it's slightly different because usually we're seeing companies gathering information from inside to go outside, and they're getting information from outside and inside also, but from outside to give them feedback for the inside team and to help their team to be more. It's very good, maybe to be more human when talking with the
yes, and not
other
be sales
side.
bots. Absolutely,
Yes, exactly.
absolutely. Yeah. However, this is not the only thing, the only case he told me. And
Mhm.
I tried to put it into proper English. The German word is Wahrnehmungssimulation.
Okay.
Okay, Wahrnehmungssimulation, which basically means so they're working with a company that kind of with AI, they can now see or they can they can predict what you, Gustavo, will think and feel when you look at a certain product.
Hmm.
And this is sick. So they can show you a product and based on the persona of you that they have created, and your behavior patterns and your sale and your buying patterns. They can write down a whole set of emotions and thoughts that you will most likely will have when you look into that product, at that product. And this is absolutely nuts, because when I'm thinking of, okay, I have 5 different bags of coffee beans in front of me, how do I differentiate which one I want to buy? And this analysis, maybe sentiment analysis, as Sophie says, is definitely helping a lot to get this better understanding of, okay, what does marketing want to say? What does product development want to say? And to beta test it on different personas and see, okay, what is it that they connotate with certain colors, fonts, and the overall appearance of the product. So this AI season has been nuts, and I'm not even halfway through. Really looking forward to all the other episodes, because employee empowerment will be one of the big topics as well. So how to get people smarten up and open for technology, and what do we do with these that maybe don't want to follow along and evolve?
Yeah. So how do we pair with technology? So how do we make people less afraid? So try to understand that it it may not steal their jobs, but can make them work better and work smarter, and maybe maybe work a little bit less, but smarter, and and with more. I forgot the word. With more, with more to be more productive.
And
That's
productivity is a massive point. So what I have not been talking about is the whole part of logistics. So so I talked to Jeremy, who is CDO of IKEA. He invited me over to the IKEA headquarter in Wallau, close to Frankfurt, and we had a recorded episode there, which was absolutely insane. Been there once. If you have the chance to go to an IKEA headquarter, go there. Their offices are just they're just full at level. Well, they know how to furnish. So
yeah.
but also he showed me he led me a bit into what they're doing with AI when it comes to logistics, when it comes to reduce food waste, because there is so much potential also in terms of sustainability. Because when we're talking about the AI and the opportunities that we're having financially, we always have to see the counter flip side. That means that AI is also using up heaps of resources. Like every poll, every ChatGPT question that you ask is eating up someone's grass. Like this is something that we definitely need to have in the back of our minds. So when we're using ChatGPT or other of Looks or other AI applications, we always need to be aware of, okay, what am I using this for at the moment, and what does it cost? What does it cost the company? What does it cost me in terms of time? And one last thing, the companies really make sure that they always have a human in the loop. So this is a phrase that I caught at the AI event from the Lebensmittelzeitung, one of the biggest newspapers in retail in Germany, that I had the pleasure to moderate a panel on. And they said, we want to get as many things automated as possible. And on the other hand, we want to make sure that the results make sense and that a human pair of eyes looks at the result and be like, okay, yes or no, so that you can double check, because in the end, AI is still a black box to a certain extent. We're not at that point yet where everything's working frictionlessness. No one of my speakers said that. There's always just try and error.
Yes. Yeah. Well, for me, that makes a lot of sense, because maybe one day it will be, but at least by now, and near future, we need this human filter at the end of the day. But yes, and connecting with that, what have you seen in terms of uh, brands entering the German market? How they how have they uh, how are they doing that and in a successful way? So you said about the Lavazza, the Lavazza case that I believe they use a lot of that to enter the market, so to know how to talk with Marcos, yes.
Yes.
And have you seen other cases around that? Not necessarily using AI, but uh, what have you seen in terms of companies from outside Germany going to the Germany market?
Oh, yeah. So this is a very interesting topic. So, let's say a couple of companies, retailers as well as suppliers, see Germany as a massive cash cow that's ready to be milked. However,
Mm,
the language barrier is real. And I'm not talking about language wise. Most professionals in Germany within our space, they speak English. However, it does not mean that, or at least they understand, but does not mean that this is the language they like to do business with.
mhm,
So looking back at when I was a business developer for Snabble, which is a scan and go app, which was a mobile scan and go application back then. Now it's a full cloud POS system with queue busting and stuff like that. Haven't looked into it for a
mhm,
while. I thought, hey, let's do the Nordics because I always wanted to go to the Nordics. Never been there, so or at least once, just once. So I started looking for multipliers, like startup hubs, just cold outreaching on LinkedIn, being like, "Hey, we're Scan and Go startup, and you don't need cash, so let's work together." Okay, spoiler: this flopped. This was such a waste of
mhm,
time. Not only because my man women power was only one, but also because never been in the stores, don't know what their real need is. The culture is so different when it comes to paying cash, like in Germany. 50, we still have like around 48% of cash rate. Or on the other hand, you're just how many supermarkets we have here. So the whole supermarket structure, the whole purchasing behavior, the infrastructure, everything's so different. So how do I expect just going there being like, "Hi, our product"? But this is still what a lot of people, even with way more sales experience that I had back then, are doing. So I've seen a couple of companies approaching me and being like, "Hey, Alexis, can't you work with us and do marketing for going to the German market?" And I'm like, "Okay, so how many salespeople do you have for the German market?" And then they said, "Yeah, one or two." Like, how many German speaking people do you have for the market?
mhm,
And this is where I said, well, this is going to be difficult. And let's be fair, just from my experience, you need someone that lives here, you need someone that needs the that knows the native language. Not necessarily, not 100% of the times, but 99% of the time you need someone here. And I had a very interesting encounter this year with a company that has a very I will not mention them. They're very successful in one other European country, and this is where they have their headquarter, and they have a huge history there. And then they're within another German-speaking market as well, and they're doing fine. And then they try to go into Germany.
mhm,
Nothing's working. Nothing's working, even though they have someone speaking the language, because that headquarter country has a full different attitude towards how you speak to people, how the sales deck look like, how you pitch, how much money in marketing is actually allocated, because just do the things that we do.
mhm,
But this is not how it works. So my strong encouragement when you try to get into the German market is speak to locals, build a network, allocate marketing budget because this is what you need, and then don't expect things to happen in 3 or 4 months. Had a good friend of mine got hired for exactly that role. He got fired because he didn't bring results after 4 months. And I said, what's the expectation? No marketing budget, no second person doing that role. Like, you do not expect one person to try to
Mhm.
get into a hyper competitive market with like 25 super interesting players that everybody wants to go with. Wait a minute, sales cycles that are probably a year and a half long.
Mhm.
So be optimistic, bring time, bring money, build a network, and connect to the right people that open doors on a human to human level. This would be my
Yeah,
take on going to the German market. I guess this will work for other markets as well, but I can just
yeah.
speak from the German market experience.
Yes, yes, it's amazing. Well, you may have probably other markets around the world that are more open in terms of language, so accepting to negotiate in a different language from their own native language. But I understood what you were talking, because it's not only language. The thing, it's more about the culture, to understand the market. And uh, that said, it's also different in terms of the macro uh, understanding of the country and of the situation of the country. Because if you're going to the well, you see the German market, the European market as a whole, let's just generalize for for the clear understanding. It's a well settled market, so everything is already running, and you need to enter this market. Maybe you want to disrupt this market in any way. So maybe in Germany, you want to disrupt this market in terms of, let's stop using cash, let's use credit card. And it's one thing. So, but you need time. You need time to enter the market that's well set. It's everything is running. So everything, the machine is already running, and it's running at that pace, and people are working on that. So they probably will change, but it takes time. It needs effort for you to move there. So it's different from a growing market, or a growing, or when you go to market that it's growing and that is opening their markets, and they're opening other markets in their own region. Well, I'll use the case of Brazil, because it's a huge market that is growing economically. So you have space to move around where the market it's not yet. So you have that space. But when you're seeing well settled markets, you need to go there and understand, okay, how does this work, and which are the tiny gaps that I can get in, and then I can spread. I believe. Well,
And one more thing,
this is my take also.
I do believe I fully agree on that. And then I also do believe that, and this is again not a retail only phenomenon.
Yes.
Sometimes we expect things to work out so much faster than they actually do, and we compare ourselves. So we had the I love that picture. Let's say I want to go to I want to expand to Switzerland and Austria a bit more. I'm at page number 3 of my book. So I cannot compare myself with someone that is even halfway through their books already, because they've been doing that for so much longer, or because they've got a whole support system or a whole company backing them up. So it's the same when we talk about podcasts and podcast exposure. So if we look at Paula, for example, she's part of Evolve as well. She is she she's a great person. She's super well known within the industry, and the way she is structured off bounds from the very start was just absolutely smart, professional, and it's so much fun looking at how she's growing her network, what kind of guests she has. So she's definitely doing an amazing job, but she also has a
Mhm.
team, hired a team to do that with her and for her. So I will look up to her. I love to speak to her. I love to listen to the podcast and interact on LinkedIn, but I will not compare myself with a German speaking podcast to someone doing an high quality video podcast in person in the area where the person are, in English. This is just this is just comparing two different things with each other. So if there's one thing that you should take from this expert talk, um, compare yourself to your yesterday and see how far you've come, because we are definitely moving rocks here, and sometimes we don't know how many we've already moved out of the way to actually walk our path.
Yes, yes, totally agree with that, and totally agree with you. So let's start to bring some people around. So uh, yeah, so who can we bring? Do you have any questions, guys? So how one? Where's how yeah, stay and hello,
Hello
hello,
guys, good.
Hawan.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm
Oh,
fine. You?
yeah, I'm great, 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 great. So Hawan is a member of ours. He's living in the US now. He was from Brazil, has a great agency, e-commerce agency, and well, now he's in the US. So Hawan, please.
Alexis, really nice to meet you. Really great session. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing all your experience. And I found really interesting the Italian brand that you share how they are applying the AI.
Mhm.
And what I was thinking is probably having so much contact with so many companies that you might have seen a lot of different things. And what I would like to ask is, what was the most amazing new thing that you saw in your podcast? Because if you have another example like that one, I really like it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I've been in I'm moving away from the podcast for a second, because
Yeah.
I've been moderating the startup stage at Eurosys in Germany for the last 2 years, and I've seen a company. There are 4 people, I think, and they're doing cleaning robots. Robots? Do you call it? Yeah, robots.
Mhm.
Because it's roboter in Germany, and I always mix them up. They have cleaning robots in the stores that they buy from China, and then they rent them out to the retailers. And this is not like a massive AI thing, but this was the most fascinating thing for me, that they came up with the idea, hey, we like cleaning stuff is expensive to get and hard to maintain. And if we have robots that do the same, more or less same job, but they do it automatically overnight, and it's so much, and it works, especially in rural areas where they really struggle finding cleaning stuff. This was an easy solution for a problem that I wasn't even aware of, because I'm not owning a store. So this is, I think, a great example of what can be very fascinating if we look at completely different corners and areas, rather than, okay, we have supply chain, okay, we have price optimization, dynamic pricing. So it doesn't always have to be that complicated. As I said, I think there were 3 people. I hope they've grown a tiny bit since then, because their idea and their execution was great.
Nice,
And
nice.
then when we talk about the AI use case, I do think that Marcus, the Mark manager, is definitely one of the things that strike me the most. Um, However, um, so there was Lavazza, and the week before I had Chibo, and Chibo told me, well, so I had the honor to visit Chibo in Hamburg at their headquarters. So they showed me around their buildings. Besides the fact that they're having like a gym, a squash area, they even have a pool there. It's absolutely nuts. And they're giving barista classes as well, coffee. What I think was super interesting to see, the surface, like the working surface that the employees have, to have an overview of the whole AI agents, of the AI applications. So how do you make, and this was very mind-blowing to me, how do you actually make the applications available? Like, do you want to have 7 new apps on your desktop with icons that you don't know? Or is it one AI portal and then depending on your role, you can click through?
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
yeah,
Got that.
this was definitely striking to me just by how smart. I can't explain it properly, obviously, but the UI was so intuitive. It was so easy to look into it, and it has so many different application when it came to wikis, where to find documents, onboardings were done with AI. It's just they really have come a long way throughout the last 2 years. And one other thing that I learned, companies are not necessarily looking for IT guys anymore. They're looking for mathematics, they're looking for physics, they're looking for neuroscientists. These are the hot jobs at the moment.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I love it when you said that most people are just boiling with water about AI because there are a lot of things that are not AI, are just regular technology. So I love it when you said that. Thank
It's
you for your answer.
thank you for being here. Yeah, and one more thing that I felt quite, how shall I say that? So the very first episode that I had was with Lawrence from Zürcher. Zürcher is a strategic consultancy throughout different countries. I know them from Switzerland, but he was from Zürcher, UK. And he's been working with a lot of retailers. And I asked him, give me great examples to kick off that retail Autons season. And he said, Alexis, I could, but I can't. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was so devastated by the infrastructure and the backbone quality of retailers. They said, if companies have not invested into backbone structure, into data quality, into data governance yet, you don't want them to start with AI because it's just getting worse. And the episode is in English. It's actually already uploaded. So if you go on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, if you type in Retail Autons, I've uploaded it yesterday. This will be in English. This is an English episode.
Great. Great. Amazing. Thank you. And now we
Okay.
have Andre Zanka.
Hey,
He's from
good talk, Alex.
CINT. Please, Andre.
Yeah. It's a whole new word for me. I was talking to Carlos and said, "Hey, retail is new to me. I know the whole word is a commerce. Where should I start with retail? I'm one of those dying tech guys, you know. Where should I start?"
Okay, that's an easy question with a very complex answer. I try to make it short. Where's your passion? Which area precisely do you burn for and can look into Wikipedia articles hours and hours and hours?
Uh, a lot of geography, a lot of people, culture, probably those. They interrelate somehow. At least in my mind, they do. So it's probably around that, like knowing the word and its difference and how they relate, complement, and collaborate.
hmm Then maybe an interesting to start within retail is store formats, because store formats have a lot to do with geographic, um, how do I say that? With geography, with how does the city look like, which area is around the potential store. And if you look at the German retail market, we've been sizing down a lot. So after COVID happened, a lot of companies realized maybe we don't need that much space anymore. Maybe, heating massive warehouses is quite expensive, with like all the bills going up as well. So companies have started doing micro stores, and we've seen that throughout all Europe as well. But we have, I think, roughly 300 smart stores now within Germany, and we're talking about smart vending, which are vending machines. but we also have Teo, Tegu Teo, Tante M, and so on, which are kind of container solutions, but not necessarily containers. They can be in store as well. They're around 55 to 70 square meters. Some are 120 as well. They have different types of technology, how to enter and how to actually check out. They have different issues with theft. Some you need to get registered through an app. Some you can just enter with your credit or debit card. So these different kind of formats, super interesting to look into, because through that you will learn a lot about what kind of different store sizes do they have, what kind of different assortments do they have. Just saying, simply Rewe Group or Leckerland, which is kind of the convenience part of Rewe Group, has 5 different formats in testing at the moment. 5 different testings. And at the same time, we have something like IKEA, which are, I think they have 12. I need to double check that. They have a couple of planning studios. So they've seen, okay, people have quite a hindrance to go to a massive IKEA store with all the buzz that's happening, to sit down and plan their kitchen and plan their packs. So they have planning studios, super tiny planning studios, well furnished, obviously, everywhere throughout Germany, and people sit down, get a drink, get great service, and have time to actually configure their kitchen and then spend heaps of money. So this would be this would be my go-to approach, because besides, to be fair, I started with checkout. Now I'm doing checkout, payment, loyalty. Now, obviously, I've been looking into AI quite deeply, and after the season, I will be going into retail media and loyalty again. So a whole new topic. I will give myself 3/4 of a year to dive deep, have expert sessions. Actually, I'm invited to do co-working days with retailers, sitting next to them, just being quiet and looking at what their job is, what their struggles are, not reporting everything to the outside world, but still like getting these nuggets of their daily life, just in order to ask better questions for my podcast. And question is, do you want to be narrow or do you want to be generalist? That depends on your role and where you want to go.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Andres, yeah, let me try to also make a parallel here. So Andrea works with delivering projects at CINT, and CINT is a huge consulting firm, let's say, and they specialize a lot in digitalization. And yes, and maybe would be a good entrance for you to retail is to also understand how retail become more digital, how they have entered in the digital market and going through these areas that are already of your knowledge, and going slightly understanding how retail could relate to this area. So how they become e-commerce, how they become digital at the end of the day, not only e-commerce, but and I believe that could also be a good way for you to dive a bit deeper into the retail world.
Yeah, I would be more than welcome to have you here or talking. We have a lot of different use cases that we could approach with you, and you could grab the nuggets from those as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. And yes, do we have anyone else? Okay, so we have a poll here. What are the trends for 2025 that you'd like to explore in more depth? So we have AI-driven personalization, 50%, sustainable commerce strategies, emerging markets to watch, robotics, and the rise of retail media. Okay, So I believe AI will be also. And what's your take on that, Alexis? So
I
AI
just
will be the.
I actually just voted for the rise of retail media, not only because this is the next topic I'm looking into, but also because I've been at Demexco, which is a massive digital
Mhm.
marketing company trade show, and I've actually talked to a couple of the retailers already about their first party data strategy. And then the big question is, if we have solid first party data, then are we going to AI driven personalization? Do we need that? Do we need AI to actually get that certain level of interaction? Because just from what I've seen so far, we're still struggling with chatbots. So chatbots are not in a mature state at the moment. There's more doing baby steps. And they're more like, if you look through LinkedIn, there are a lot of very funny like fail threads where the chatbot is just simply not answering. And as long as this is not being solved, I think that we're far away from AI personalization. This is something that we do not need yet when it comes to couponing and so on. AI personalization in terms of how to get a chatbot to actually understand my question, answer my question, and maybe be my travel agent or something like that. This is a whole different topic, but this is not AI personalization for me.
Yeah.
I have
Carlos.
essentially my take here as maybe just yeah, just something to complement what you're saying, Alexis. But it's more like I mean, AI is it's a lot of fluff there, my opinion. So maybe we have to be there as content creators, and but I'm more interested in, so for example, when it comes to retail media and all of the all what's happening in terms of yeah, how content experiences and for example, you see the elections in the U.S., like the effect that podcasting had, and so that's super interesting, right? Because I think in terms of politics now, people are going to start, at least the left, let's put it this way, they will start paying more attention at the importance of the new media, and so the new media, in my opinion, is such an important topic to pay attention because. I think there is a lack of trust worldwide, globally speaking, in terms of traditional media. And so what we are doing is super powerful. We are doing this at Evolve from a content retail digital commerce perspective, but I think that goes across all sectors, right? So the new media, content creators, they're becoming really, really powerful. And so how do you monetize that, and how do you these new business models that are emerging and things that we are doing perhaps at the early stages are, for me, are super interesting. I think what Sophie is doing, also live commerce, which is in a way sorry, social commerce, pardon, Sophie, in a way it's so how she showed us her technology this week, and I was baffled. It's amazing. So how do you turn your e-commerce into like a social media like experience?
Oh,
It's, it's so cool.
this is such a cool topic. This is
Yeah.
such a cool topic.
Hmm.
Fun fact, I have been a live shopping moderator for 5 episodes for Bauhaus, so one of the
Nice.
biggest DIY stores. Been doing different things, from learning between the different kind of coatings that you can do on wood surfaces. What's the difference between colors and oils when you and what to use. And we've been building stuff as well on the live. We had a whole like lighting episode where we talked about how do we create a certain atmosphere within a room through light. That's why you see me having 10,000 passive lights uh, in here, and these are also from Bauhaus, because I've got influenced by my own episode. What shall I say? um, However, the amount of interaction, the questions, the social listening that you can do through live shopping is just insane. Otherwise, you have to pay like third-party polls to actually do these statistics for you. And here you just ask questions. Same with WhatsApp channels and so on. There is so much potential when we talk about direct communication to customers, to get them into our community, to get them onto our brand, hooked on who we are and on our products. But that's a whole different topic.
I know we have to
Thank you, Sophie.
get you off our hook. So thank you for this. Gustavo, please, final remarks and how we can find Alexis and help her, sell even more.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for this expert session number 34 of this year. So good journey until now. And well, Alexis, thank you very, very much for being here, for having you with us. Is such a pleasure. And how can people find you on Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, etc.?
Yes, so the easiest way to look at my socials is to connect with me on LinkedIn, because I have a link in my bio, which is a Linktree link, and there you have all the socials. Otherwise, I just dropped the Spotify link in the chat. So that's a very easy way to find it as well. As I said, just yesterday uploaded the new episode with the question, will the AI hype curve walk or run? UK perspective, episode number 23. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for letting me actually look at a podcast from the other side and not moderating it. Gustavo, it was a pleasure. Everybody, thank you for joining in. Last words. Oh, damn, I'm moderating again.
Great. So thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Next week, we'll be back. And bye-bye. Thank you.